Hello, and thanks so much for tuning in to Clear into Balance. My name is Jamie, and on this channel, I remind you that you are a powerful spirit having this human experience, and therefore you can change or create anything you want. So I got the nudge to start this video, and I'm not getting it all set up. So I apologize if it's shaky, if you're watching it versus listening to it. This is just where we're at. I'm learning to follow the flow and create in the moment as my spirit gives me the nudge to share about something. So today I'm going to talk about age, and for me, I've learned that age is just a number. That our true age, is more about how we feel and is about our energy. I think energy attracts energy. Like energy attracts like energy, and the way we think about reality, the way we think about ourselves is exactly what we get. And we're taught all of these things about age, like this happens when you age, this happens when you age, that happens when you age, like this is the way everything goes downhill as you age. And what I found is the opposite. As I've gotten older, I've gotten way more confident and sure in myself, and that in part has to do with the fact that I've been doing the inner work and clearing things at the spirit level using holographic kinetics. And I realize that, not everybody's doing that. So everybody's experience of life and this reality is going to be different. But I've also been really privileged in my life to get shown through other people that have been placed directly on my path that age doesn't have to be what we've been taught that it is. When I was in my 20s and I was doing wildlife field work and I was hiking in national parks and on public lands for my job, I ended up meeting these amazing park rangers who were hiking as part of their job. That was their job was living in the backcountry of Kings Canyon National Park in California. Now, if you've ever been to Kings Canyon, then you know firsthand, especially if you've hiked in the backcountry there's so much granite. And some of it, in fact, are like steps that the trail crews have made, some of which required my knees to bend at like a 90-degree angle with each step, where you're just they're so huge. It's rough terrain. It's not easy to hike. It's physically really demanding and challenging terrain to hike over. There's a lot of elevation gain and loss. And the beauty of it is that I was introduced to these park rangers who had been doing this job for 30 years or more, right? Hiking out there. That's their job. They live in the backcountry. They live out in these remote cabins in that area. And their job is literally to hike all the time. And they go long distances. They don't just stay close to the cabin. They go really long distances. Every day they're hiking to make sure that everything is being cleaned up, that people are okay, that there's no emergencies. They have to respond to emergencies in the backcountry, all of this. And I remember one park ranger in particular who was in his 70s, who had been doing that job for so long, and he's out there just hiking like it's nothing. And here I was in my 20s, sometimes huffing and puffing up and over these granite mountains. And that's after spending months in the Gila National Forest in New Mexico, living at elevation 9,500 feet above, ocean, at elevation, having to hike and run through the forest, chasing owls, what have you. Then I go to hike in Kings Canyon. It was a whole new world. I was living at 10.5 and hiking to elevations greater than that and lower than that on a daily basis. And just to get to the place where I lived, it was a 17-mile hike in. This particular ranger stayed at a cabin that was about 5 miles from where I would be living for the summer. And I actually, on my first hike in, I carried such a heavy pack. I probably had about a 50-pound pack on because I came in late in the season, so they didn't airlift my stuff into the backcountry. I had to carry what I needed for the whole summer with me, which included food for the summer, included my clothes and things like that, and also included dumb things like books, which, looking back, it was crazy because my pack was so heavy. I ended up having to spend the night at his cabin, camped outside, because it was my toes were blistered. I was it was such difficult hiking, and I was I knew I had 5 miles of pretty much up to go. So at any rate, we stayed there for the night and got to talk to him. And for me, that was so valuable, and it's stuck with me through my entire life now, all these years later, remembering him and how he moved through that terrain, how he moved through that backcountry, And the fact that, here he was in his 70s, and that is what he was choosing to do, was this really physically demanding job, like living outside, living in a remote area. And I've been reminded of that so many times as I've been around people who were actually much younger, but I guess you could say were old, but were younger than him, younger than their 70s, with all these excuses about how, oh, I can't do that, I'm too old. And it would be like much easier tasks than what these rangers were doing. And that always has given me perspective of like, we can do anything we put our minds to. We can literally keep being physically active well into our 70s. I've read a book about people who had hit 100 and beyond, who were still physically active, going canoeing all the time, like taking a lot of walks, like were mentally sharp and with it. We've been fed lies, and when we take on those lies as our own beliefs about what is possible for us and our reality, whether now or in our future, that is exactly what we're going to get. And we're told all these negative things that happen to you as you get older. And in fact, what I'm finding is that I get more, like, life gets better as I get older. And I know in part that's because I'm doing the inner work. I'm facing all of my past, and I'm taking radical responsibility for what shows up in my life and changing it as it comes up, as things are shown to me that I don't like. I'm taking it to holographic kinetic sessions, and you guys will probably get sick of hearing me say that, but it's true. And in doing that, like, when I hit my 40s, I was like, dude, freshest fucking decade ever. Freshest decade ever. That's how I felt. I didn't have that feeling of like, oh, I don't want to be 40. Oh, I didn't have that, because I'm like, dude, I feel amazing. I feel like this is the most clear I've ever been, and I'm starting a new decade, and I'm fucking excited for it, and I'm going for it. And so anyway, I invite you to start changing your beliefs around age. Age is just a number. That is all a farce. Everything that we're taught about age is a farce. You can be clear in your mental abilities. You can be physically active long after we're taught is possible. You could be physically active into your hundreds. And that's, I think, so important to realize. If you're new to my channel, go back and watch my videos around our beliefs and how they shape our reality, because that is exactly what happens when we take on things about aging as our truth. You get what you think is possible. You get your beliefs every single time. And we're being fed all of these disempowering things about age that are just not true. There are people younger than me that will complain about aches and pains, and they act like that's just normal. It's not normal, okay? Your spirit is showing you things through those aches and pains. You're getting shown things all the time that are affecting you. And if you don't like it, go and clear it in a session. You don't have to accept pain as the norm just because you're getting older. You don't have to accept anything as the norm just because you're getting older. In fact, when you settle like that, and you just give in, and then you start complaining about those things all the time, and you start complaining about your age and like, oh, I'm so old. First off, you can't be younger than me and be old, because I'm not old. That's number one. And I hear people all the time call themselves old who are younger than me, and I laugh to myself, because I'm like, dude, they're not old at all. Or I'll even say that out loud to them. But yeah, we get what we think we can have, and anything is possible in this reality. You don't have to settle for your aches and pains. If you're going to complain about your aches and pains all the time, guess what you're going to get? More aches and pains to complain about. That is how this reality is actually set up. Not what you think it is. It's not what you think it is. You're creating every day with your thoughts, your words, your actions. So how do you want to feel? Start talking that into your reality. I did that with my health years ago. I started saying that I was cured of Lyme disease years ago. And I talk about that in another video too. It's powerful. And when you stop talking about your illness, that's powerful. Like, it changes your entire reality. I haven't dealt with any of that since then. And then I cleared it in a holographic kinetic session. Nothing in this reality is as it seems. If you keep complaining, you're going to get more to complain about. If you keep focusing on the negative in your life, that's exactly what you're setting yourself up to get more of. If you think that age comes with all of these negative things, that is exactly what you're going to get. You got to flip the script. Flip the script. Start realizing that you are the creator of your reality. You are the main star of your movie. How do you want that movie to go? Start taking action towards that. You know, if you want to be active into your later years, you got to be active today. If you want to feel good in your later years, like, you got to face your own stuff. You got to face it. You got to stop distracting yourself with loud music when you go into nature, or the TV on all the time so you don't have to listen to your own thoughts. Your thoughts, everything you're experiencing, are there to free you, to absolutely free you in this reality. And when I've taken those things then to session, guess what? I've cleared it and I've moved on from it and I've gotten free from it. You don't have to settle for anything that you're experiencing in your reality. You can absolutely change anything. And a lot of that comes with just setting the intention. Tell your spirit what you want, and it'll start reshaping your reality. Start thinking differently and you'll get different experiences. So if this resonates with you, please like and subscribe to my channel. That helps get the message to other people that may need to hear it. I appreciate you being here so much, and I'll talk to you in the next video.